Content warning, I'll be talking about violence and in particular race, hate-inspired violence during this video. I want you to start off believing that what you've heard about the DOJ reports on Ferguson are exactly as they've been reported. Namely, that there is some racial stuff that's going on there, but also that Darren Wilson was cleared of all wrongdoing. Let's get started. Hi Paul Talkers, I bought this shirt from the Dream Defenders back when they were doing work in Ferguson around the time of Mike Brown's shooting and the original protests. You may be aware that in recent days the Department of Justice released 2 reports about Ferguson. The first report was 86 pages and it detailed how Darren Wilson could not be convicted of any crimes. The second report by the DOJ, which I think was released the day right after that, was a 105-page report detailing all the racism that was in the St. Louis area police. So much racism that they actually used racist-based citations of the citizens of that area as basically a revenue stream for the police departments. Many news sources described the first of those reports as clearing Darren Wilson of any wrongdoings. They may not have used those exact words, but that's how they were phrasing it. To the point where some journalists were actually apologizing for saying that Mike Brown and the hands up don't shoot movement was a thing. I am not a journalist. I can tell you what I think that those DOJ reports meant, and it doesn't matter. See, when I was reading that first report, the report about Darren Wilson, they kept on referring to the forensic evidence and how scientific analysis of the evidence that was presented to them forced them to come to conclusions with regards to prosecution of Darren Wilson. As you may or may not recall, the FBI and the Department of Justice were not on site where Mike Brown was killed by Darren Wilson. Who was on site? Why, that would be Darren Wilson's police colleagues, also a part of the St. Louis police departments. 2 police officers were the ones who gathered evidence about the gunshots, about the interior of Darren Wilson's vehicle, about Darren Wilson's own appearance and the evidence that was on him, and of course the evidence that was on Mike Brown himself and the street. And then all that evidence was initially investigated by and analyzed by forensic specialists also associated with the St. Louis Police Department. Now all that would be fine, of course, if there were no evidence of any wrongdoing on the part of the St. Louis Police, nor of any unethical behavior on the part of the St. Louis Police. Oh, but wait, I did mention that there was a second report of 105 pages that detailed all of the unethical behavior and wrongdoings, multiple wrongdoings, of the St. Louis area police. It is my opinion the DOJ investigated Darren Wilson's killing of Mike Brown not because anybody at the DOJ thought, oh, we're going to find evidence to convict Darren Wilson. They were hoping that they would find something in the evidence provided from the St. Louis Police where the St. Louis Police had effed up. The St. Louis Police have been horribly unethical and racist for years and years and years. Perhaps in that time, they figured out how to build cases that exonerate their police officers who do horrible things on account of racist reasons. I have no evidence of that. Witnesses suck. That is why we need things like body cameras on police. Not because it's gonna stop police from killing black people. They're still gonna kill black people for as long as they possibly can. The body cameras are there so that they can provide empirical evidence as to how horrible the situation is over and over and... You see, there's not a lot that the DOJ can do in the Ferguson area. The Department of Justice has to follow every law and every procedure as to the letter as possible because they are a Department of Justice. And the problem with the laws in the St. Louis County area is that they make it really easy for the police to abuse, rob, and kill black people. In the case of Darren Wilson killing Mike Brown, all that Officer Wilson needed to say was he feared for his life from Mike Brown. That's literally all he had to say. And as long as nobody could disprove that, he's going to get off scot-free. But that is such baloney. First of all, a big deal is made out of Mike Brown's size and appearance. He was 6'4" and 300 pounds. But Darren Wilson is also 6'4" and 210 pounds. Just for comparison, if you put 75 pounds on me and about 5 or 6 inches of height, I would be Mike Brown. And if I were to charge you the way that Mike Brown allegedly charged Darren Wilson, it would look like this. About that fast and in about that shape. Of course, my skin, as you might notice, is not the same kind of skin as Mike Brown's. It's lacking in the pigment. So the fearing for his life part, which is why Darren Wilson can't be prosecuted, is bullshit. Unfortunately, the DOJ, they have to follow the laws and the procedures. And so when they're given evidence from the St. Louis police, and they're given forensic analysis from the St. Louis forensics people, they have to go with that. And sadly, the Department of Justice can't just say, hey, you killed somebody who had no gun. You had some time while they were running away from you to get non-lethal materials to stop the person running away from you, and instead you went after them with the gun. You don't draw on anybody unless your intention is to shoot them to die. So my point here is that nowhere in any report did the Department of Justice say that Darren Wilson was an innocent man. They just couldn't come up with things within the confines of the procedures and laws that constrained them to prosecute Darren Wilson. Those reports have to go together. The second report shows that the St. Louis area police were horribly racist and treated black people as if their lives did not matter. If there were a law that required police officers to use non-lethal force when pursuing a non-murderous, unarmed suspect, then Darren Wilson would be accountable under that law. But there is no such thing. And as for the editorials that say that hands up, don't shoot doesn't matter or is a lie and is something that you should dismiss out of your vocabulary, that's bullshit too. Because I watched live as protesters said, hands up, don't shoot, and were attacked by police in riot gear. The saying still has meaning, and it is still pertinent here. So that's my take on the Department of Justice's reports on Ferguson and Darren Wilson. I have no intention of apologizing about being as fervently anti-Darren Wilson as I've been all along. I think that it is a horrible travesty of justice that he has become practically a millionaire off of this for killing an unarmed black teen. Every part of that is true. But I told you to start off with the bias of believing in the DOJ reports as they have been described by news sources. I tried to fight against that. Did I make you change your mind at all? Let me know in the comments. Or tell me anything that matters to you in the comments, because I want to know what matters to you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or even better, please share it on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr. Maybe this video can do some of your arguing for you if you are on my side. And if you want to see more of this goofy face saying goofy and serious things, please subscribe. One positive thing that I can put in this video is that I'm going to be doing another live event, this time with my friend Francie from Germany. We're going to do it this Saturday from 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is about 6 p.m. GMT, to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 8 p.m. GMT. I hope you'll tune in and ask us questions and just hang out with us. It's always fun. But as always, thanks for watching. Tomorrow will be even better.